Greetings and salutations, YouTube. A while back, some of you may have seen a video I posted about anxiety. Well, today I'm going to talk about anxiety again, but instead of talking about anxiety in general, I'm going to talk about my story with anxiety and how it has been a part of my life. So it really all starts when I was a child. I'm not sure what age, but at some age I started... I don't know, like one day it just clicked, and I just began thinking about what my peers were thinking, while I was speaking with them. And that probably sounds a little confusing, but what I mean is like I had my friends and I could talk to them or whatever, but whenever I talked to kids I knew less, or adults especially, I would really worry about what they were thinking about me. All of a sudden, like I would wonder what their impression was, and dread dread what it might be. And I mean, that just went on for a while, so I was just a little bit shy. I was still, I'd still talk to people, but I was just a little shy, and you know, it made me a little uncomfortable to talk to new people, but I could still do it. And then when I was in 7th grade, my dad died. He fell down the basement stairs and snapped his brainstem. So he died, and that so after that point, I was living with my mom full time. We all were, my mom and my stepdad, and that created this new form of anxiety for me, and I suddenly started worrying about my mom and my best friend all the time. If I wasn't near them or right next to them or with them, I was worried or sure that they were dying or dead. And later I would learn that this was a form of separation anxiety. But that's a hard one to it was a hard one to get through, just because it was utterly irrational, but in the moment that doesn't really matter. So then I had separation anxiety, and the social anxiety at this point had gotten a little worse, because as I had gotten older, you know, kids become more and more worried about themselves and what people think of them, more importantly, especially in that ripe old age of 13. So I was pretty much shutting down at this point. I was letting anxiety completely control my life. And I wouldn't talk to people because I was scared to, and I didn't really know how to fix the separation anxiety thing. That was just a problem I hated so much. And a little bit after my dad died, I was dating this girl at the time. This girl I was in love with. You know, I was gonna marry her. 14-year-old me was sure. And you know, we break up, as you do. And we broke up. We broke up shortly after I had switched over to high school. Like I had made this switch from middle school to high school. So I was at this way bigger school with all of these people I didn't know. So the social anxiety was a little strong there. And I just didn't do so well in private school socially. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I didn't fit in. But we broke up that December, that first December of freshman year. So I was in a pretty bad place. And I developed a adjustment disorder, I believe is how it was put to me. From that whole, I mean, it was really just the big events all in one area. Like my dad died, I had to adjust to that. I switched to a new school, I had to adjust to that. This girl moved away and then broke up with me, and I had to adjust to that. And I am a person who generally doesn't like change. I prefer things to stay the same if they can, just because it's easier and more convenient. I mean, we're all that way, but change is good. And some cases, in other cases bad. Everything in moderation, whatever. But yeah, so I got an adjustment disorder, or I developed a adjustment disorder, and I'm still not entirely sure what that means. I think it just means when there's major changes, or back then when there were major changes or any changes, I had a hard time adjusting to them, and it brought anxiety, maybe, is what I would imagine. It's definitely what I felt. So now I'm just at this school, no girlfriend, and that's the end of my world. And, socially I'm not doing so great. I have a couple friends, but that's about it. So I decide, after finally pushing and pushing and pushing for a few years, I was able to switch to a different high school. So I switched to public school. And it was hard. It was another switch, so I was starting back from square one socially. And, I mean, even more so because I didn't know anyone. And that was very scary, but I still wanted to do it because I wasn't happy with my environment beforehand. So I got to this new school, and eventually I started making some friends, and things were looking up. I just had my normal, separation anxiety every now and then, and social anxiety was still, pretty bad for a while, but I don't know. I'm weird. I can't even. Nowadays I'm pretty normal, but I don't know what my deal was. Talking to people, thinking about it makes me speechless. I just don't even know how to explain the feelings I would feel when people would look at me like they were going to talk to me, or if I thought I was going to have to talk to someone I didn't know. I can't even explain the kind of feeling that would give me, but I would just freeze, and not even freeze, and I just wouldn't move, wouldn't move towards that, wouldn't move at all. If I stay right here, it was almost like a possum. If I stay right here, I won't have to do it. So I just kind of freeze up and avert eyes, and I don't know. I was a mess, but yeah. So eventually, I got this other girlfriend, who I'm actually still with today, so that's cool. Coming up on 4 years, so that's solid. But I started dating this girl, and the separation anxiety kicked up with her because it's just and the separation anxiety. Really, anyone I care about, best friend, girlfriend, and mom are easily the main three. But it's happened with many others. But I would get separation anxiety, and when I say separation anxiety, I mean let me just give you an example of how ungodly irrational this train of thought is. Got some sleep in my eye, I gotta get it out. But so if she was late to school, because we would always, there's this hallway, me and my little clan, we would always stand in this little area in the school before school started, and just chit chat. But if she was late, naturally first thought, I already know what's up. She got in a car wreck. That happened. She is currently on the side of the road, car flipped, in a car wreck, and the paramedics are there, and they're putting her on a stretcher, but she is going to die if I'm not there too. These were my thoughts. If I wasn't, and don't get me wrong, I did not have the thought that I was going to help. I was not going to do CPR. I was not going to grab a defibrillator. No. Literally in my mind, the difference between her life and her death was me being present at the scene. Ridiculous. And I knew it was ridiculous in the moment, but I can't shake the feeling. And it would always just be a freaking nightmare until I got a text or I saw her the next hour between classes. And yeah, every time she'd be like, "Oh, thank God you're okay." And what are you talking about? But yeah, that's an example of separation anxiety. It can be difficult, but it's not the worst thing. I do care about these people, and I suppose it's only normal to wonder about negative possibilities. We probably shouldn't, often at least. I should definitely actively steer away from these thoughts, but whenever they pop up, sometimes it's hard. So, I mean, it doesn't happen much anymore, though, so that's good. Then we have senior. Sorry, I got a list here to kind of keep me organized because I have a tendency to. Blah. So senior year, I was just apathetic like any other high schooler. Just, I don't care about the world. The world doesn't care about me. I hate all of you. And yeah, but I was going into college with optimism. And that was cool. I was excited, which was cool. I don't feel optimism for big changes like that usually ever. So feeling optimism for college was good. I think probably important too. And then so we get to first semester. My first semester in college was very, very lonely. I lived with this person, and we were really good friends before we moved up here together. And at some point, I don't know, it seemed like they were less interested in me. And as a person, like, there's just no desire to interact, and that, I mean, it sucked. It definitely sucked. But, yeah. I mean, things happen. Life happens. But, yeah, in that time period, they, just weren't around, always gone, out of the house, or in their room. Mostly out of the house. And so I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time alone up here, and I wasn't making very many friends because I was scared, and alone. It got really dark. It got, really scary for a minute. It's really easy to, forget how many people care about you when you're in a city by yourself. I will say that much. Yeah, I mean, you can change that with a little phone call, but I wasn't doing those phone calls. I was stuck in my head, just repeating all of this negativity over and over and over and over and over again, driving myself insane. But then I got a job, and that was good. I wanted a job for the human interaction. I wanted a job so I could actually be around people, guaranteed, and interact with people and speak with people. Speaking with people was important to me because there was, at one point during first semester, I went 3 whole days in the middle of the week without speaking, just because no one spoke to me. No one spoke to me. No one even showed any interest in speaking with me, and I realized I went 3 days without speaking, and that kind of killed me. That no one spoke to me in 3 days. It just hurt. It felt like I don't know. It felt like I didn't matter, or like I didn't exist. And I want to exist. But yeah. So, nowadays I just speak to people because you don't always have to wait for someone to start the conversation. And I understand that now, and I'm capable of it now. So I do that. But that is all because of my job, actually. I got this job. I wanted to interact with people, and more importantly, I didn't want to be a sad, anxious person at work. I didn't want my coworkers to think of me as just this anxious individual or this sad person. I didn't want that image. I didn't want to be that person anymore. And so I basically just started faking it. I just started acting like a super kind, happy person. And around month 2, I felt happy. So there is some validity to that fake it till you make it stuff, but people need to realize it's not really faking it. When you're depressed or when you're having anxiety, there's two methods. I mean, and you really do need both to make it work, but there's two methods. And the first is medication, which people seem to favor nowadays, and then there's CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's therapy where you talk with someone and work with someone on trying to rewire your own cognitive process. So typically depressed individuals or anxious individuals, upon hearing news, they either think negatively immediately or anxiously immediately. Like their mind goes to that thought. It's the first thought in your mind. Now, as humans, or just as people thinking, I guess I should say, we can either choose to run with this thought and keep thinking along this path, or discredit the thought and substitute another one and go on that route. Because you can look at something more than one angle, you know. I mean, there's 360 degrees of angles for everything. But, yeah. So, basically what I was doing is limiting, there was like a filter, especially verbally. I would only say things positively. I was trying to be positive and be happy and be alive. And when I say alive, I mean just more lively, like energetic. So and nowadays I'm kind of a huge goofball. I'm just a super spaz. It's ridiculous. But, you know, this all started here. And, you know, so I just tried to think positive things. I tried to only voice positive things. I tried to only act positive ways. And I tried to dance. Tried to dance to work. Tried to dance all around. Because dance makes you happy. It's really hard to be angry and dance. But also, you know, I mean, there's been studies on dancing's effects to mental health. I'll let you guys look into that, but there's some interesting stuff there. But yeah, you know, I tried to live, laugh, and love as much as I could, for the cheesiest way I could say things. But yeah, no, I tried to just be positive, and I feel positive. I feel positive now, and that's good. So, yeah. That's thus far. I mean, this is the story so far. We'll see if you know, anything else happens. But honestly, I don't know. I think I got it figured out. I understand anxiety. I mean, it's like I said in the anxiety video. It's like gasoline for our dreams. But yeah, I feel good. I'm less anxious in general. Or at least I don't feel overwhelmed with anxiety, and I understand and respect it. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. As always, never forget to smile. And I will see all of your beautiful faces later.